the next question that we have here, because we're talking about essentially what happened to Kevin McCarthy being voted out as the first speaker in American history to be voted out of
Yeah,
office.
legendary loser.
We often talk about, things that are unprecedented in America, but this really has never happened before. So it's honestly, it really is a first here. I wonder what's going to happen next. There was a moment there where people were talking about Donald Trump might actually be the speaker. I'm glad that didn't last too long.
McCarthy will not seek the speakership again. Now, sources telling me at this hour some House Republicans have been in contact with and have started an effort to draft former President Donald Trump to be the next speaker. And I have been told that President Trump might be open to helping the Republican Party, at least in the short term, if necessary, if it's needed.
And now it's also people are floating Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise. You might have heard of Jim Jordan before. He's not the most unknown person, even for like anyone who's like super like casual with politics. He's made a name for himself over the last few years. Steve Scalise, I actually didn't know too much about this guy, but I did come to find out that he's basically, he was in leadership previously. He was the House Majority Leader. Still is. So he basically is like a deputy underneath Kevin McCarthy. So essentially you're just replacing Kevin McCarthy with another version of Kevin McCarthy. And it sounds like he has the inside track to actually win this whole thing. So in your opinion, does it really matter who the next speaker is, or is it kind of a wash either way?
It does matter. So let's talk about this so the Donald Trump thing. Objectively, could have been one of the funniest outcomes ever.
I was ready to make memes. I was so ready.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
So, or just so I think this concept in itself is a very silly one. The idea that any person can technically be speaker as long as they get enough votes,
right?
I think is a really asinine idea, because like if you or I ended up as speaker, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. There are people who spend their entire lives figuring out like all the rules and the codes and stuff.
You're absolutely right. Can I just stop you for 1 minute here? Because this is actually not the only rule that is asinine in our country. Honestly, the fact that anyone can be president is also a little strange. Just a little bit, and also going beyond that, the fact that you can be president from jail, also not the best thing for the country. Really, just not the best thing.
Right. But so like the idea that Donald Trump, a man legendarily known for his lack of work ethic, would be the Speaker of the House is just fucking hysterical. Second, he technically cannot be, because he is currently under felony indictment. Which is, there is a rule, much like he cannot own a firearm. He can't be Speaker of the House. Would it have been incredibly funny to watch Donald Trump in the State of the Union sitting behind Joe Biden? Absolutely. Would it have been insanely? But like on the other hand, the threat level to the president and the vice president, if Trump was Speaker of the House, is like quadruple at the minimum, because
why do you say that?
Because he's third in line to the presidency.
Okay, but you're talking about. Do you know what would have to happen in order for that to take place, right? Yeah,
they're all insane. Because let's be clear.
This is the second time that we've heard about this scenario on the show this week, so I kind of want to address it really quickly here. If you would have to have double impeachments, right, in order for this scenario to happen.
You need to have. They just don't need to be there.
What do you mean?
I'm not talking directly about impeachments. The man is sole political purpose is just to foment violence. That's what I was talking. That's what I'm referring.
You mean you're talking about? Okay, let's.
Yeah, that's no.
The likelihood of what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying it's likelihood. I'm saying that one of them will fucking try. Some people try because they're insane and they'll do it. But that's not but like just
I have a lot of faith in our
damage
Secret Service. You know, I mean, Trump's still alive, so
I don't know. So anyway, the like the bills and stuff, like he would certainly shut down the government, maybe by accident because he doesn't know what he's doing, but
Yeah, I
like
believe
it would
that.
shut down, and he would probably fuck up the debt ceiling if he had the opportunity. Because he doesn't understand what's going on. Like so, like the absolute destructiveness of Donald Trump being speaker would be very funny.
Yeah,
in the
hilarious.
immediate, and then very bad later when it happens. So I do want to say though that we were robbed of potentially the funniest thing to possibly happen, which was a potential Fox News debate with at least Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, if not anyone else. For this idea was floated this morning and killed by this afternoon.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I know. Like, come on, man. Don't free speech. Like,
Yeah,
put your ideas out there for the masses to love. Do it on X. Do it on X.
Yeah. Do it somewhere. You know, I would love to watch. We need, honestly, this kind of reminds me of what's not happening right now in this country. The fact that both Joe Biden and Donald Trump are not debating their primary opponents, I think is an absolute travesty. It's an absolute travesty. Like, I know the logic behind it for different reasons. Trump and Biden probably both think politically it's only a negative thing for them. I know that there's probably would be no positive to them doing either. But I do think just fundamentally, it is a mistake for them not to be out there, essentially, not just defending their previous records or their current records, but also setting the agenda. I mean, truthfully speaking, from Biden's perspective, I have no idea what his platform is. I really don't. I don't know what he is bringing to a second term. You know, I know what he's trying to do currently. I know what he is saying his opponent is, but what is your vision for 2025 through 2029? I don't know what it is. He's not really doing a great job of putting it out there. So I think that they should be on the stage, you know.
I think that's something that'll probably ramp up next year. Once
right, but we need to know it now. You know, like I think it's important to know
so
it
much
now.
that we need to know it now. I think if they put out a platform now, I think it would allow the Republican Party to coalesce against something instead of kind of shooting each other in the face, which I think is more effective for Biden is them shooting each other in the face currently. Because I think if you give them a target, it focuses them. Because when you watch the debates and they ask policy questions, like they asked good policy questions in the last debate. They had no answers for them. We haven't had a policy platform for the Republican Party since 2016. Like,
I mean, this is true. This is true. But, you know, quick pushback here. I mean, Joe Biden, you know, was in 10 primary debates from June of 2019 to March of 2020. All of that didn't help Donald Trump beat him.
Yeah, but that was because it was like there was more viable candidates. I think
right, but you know, the idea
like
of
this is a different thing that we
can
can have a conversation when it comes out. Like I do think it's an interesting point. I think it's too early. But like obviously, so this debate's not happening, and the reason it's not happening is because the 18 frontline guys don't want to have this more clown show before they vote. And honestly, like I mentioned earlier, this idea should circle around that some of the moderate Republicans should really consider voting for Jeffries. And I mean, and I know it's a long shot, but I need you just like on the basics, like if you have any belief in governance at all, like not even, because let's be clear about something. Even if Scalise is the speaker or Donald Trump is the speaker or Jim Jordan is the speaker, there's no Republican bill like closing the border or banning gender affirming care or whatever crazy thing they're yelling about this week.
Yeah,
it's going to become law. Like that's just not going to happen. Like, and I don't entirely think that their audience recognizes that, which is a little weird that they don't seem to be aware of that factor. Especially how they talk about like, oh, we're going to balance the budget. We're going to, you know, do all these things, but like first off, they haven't passed any bills anyway. Like just even messaging bills to deal with these problems, to much less have something that becomes law.
And let's talk about that for a second, though. I mean, like, is that what Republicans want? Well, this is the question that I ask myself all the time. I'm like, Democrat voters want laws passed. I don't know that Republican voters do. I think they just want to own the libs.
this is the pitch to the moderates. Like literally, I think it's only to like Dan Crenshaw and maybe Nancy Mace, because she's kind of crazy, and I don't really know where she stands on anything. And
she voted McCarthy out.
Yeah, but she also said Joe Biden is running a pedophile ring. So like, I don't know where she's just like, I have no trust in her. But like literally, the argument to them is very simple. Do you believe that the government should, at a bare minimum, should keep the lights on? And if yes, then the Republicans cannot be in charge. That's the bare minimum government has, and they are incapable of doing that. And this is not an exaggeration. They literally could not keep the lights on without Democrats. Like they cannot. They have, in my opinion, and I think this really needs to be discussed, they have forfeited the right for basic governance because they've proven that they're incapable of doing the bare minimum in order to help their constituents. Like we're not even talking about dealing with inflation or the migrant problem or anything else. They cannot keep the government open, which is literally the simplest thing that they will do all year. And if they cannot do that, they should lose the right to be in charge.